Today's show is brought to you by Audible. Audible is offering our listeners a free audiobook with a 30-day trial membership. Just go to audibletrial.com/INTB and browse the unmatched selection of audio programs. Download a title free and start listening. It's easy. Go to audibletrial.com/INTB.
Honestly, they're not that bad.
Welcome to a new episode of It's Not That Bad Podcast. I am Fern here with Dom.
Hey, everybody.
So, the biggest news, obviously, to come out this week, talking worldwide, took everyone by storm. I didn't want to buy into it. I wasn't even, gonna talk about it, whatever. But then I fell into the trap.
Yeah, what is it?
And the new Ghostbusters trailer came out. And I was like, you know what? This actually looks really good.
I haven't seen it yet. Does it look good?
It looks fucking fantastic. So, quick recap of things we said before. I'm a fan of Ghostbusters. I don't love it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's their greatest comedy to ever exist, blah, blah, blah.
No, but it's still pretty good.
Yeah, I'm not a fucking millennial. I'm a millennial. No, but I like it. You know, it's whatever. And then people hated the last one. I watched it and I was like, yeah, I guess not great, but whatever. It's fine.
It's fine, right?
Didn't give a shit. So when they were talking about this movie, didn't give a shit at all.
Yeah.
They said Paul Rudd was in it. I was like, that's cool. I don't give a shit. Whatever. The trailer comes out and I'm like, oh my God. All these fucking nerds, blah, blah, blah. Then it came up on YouTube and I was like, I put it on and I'm like, all right, wait for the nostalgia boners to hit. And it's going. I'm like, wait, I don't get what they're... And I'm like, oh, wait, so that, And then by the end of it, I'm like, I can't fucking wait for this goddamn movie. Yeah. The way that it built it was, I don't know. It actually feels like, did you guys actually pull this off?
Really?
Yeah, it actually makes sense. The I guess
You can tell me
spoiler because it is in the trailer.
Yeah.
So the family moves into this house and they're like, oh, it's my grandpa's house, whatever. And then in the house they find this weird thingy.
Yeah.
And then Paul Rudd's a teacher and he was like, oh, it's a cool replica. And they're like, replica of what? And he's like, what? You guys don't know? Obviously he talks about 30 years ago and stuff, and he shows them videos and they're like, yeah, but there hasn't been ghost sightings ever since. This weird shit starts happening, the ground shaking, all this stuff. And then at the end, it's like, wait, who's your grandpa? Because he passed away. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh.
I knew that. It's, what's his name? Ivan Reitman, right?
And so, I don't know. It just, they do the nostalgia boner where they show the car, the whatever. But other than that, I was like, it actually looks pretty good. Finn Wolfhard's in it, so you're gonna get that. I'm a child actor. Oh, and that one, the little girl, she played Little Sabrina.
Oh, Grace McKinnon?
Yeah, she's in there too. After I watched it, I was like, you know what? I never thought I'd say this, but I am legit fucking stoked for this movie. It looks cool. It feels like it's actually trying to make sense, but doing it in a fairly logical way. I don't know. It's really cool to see, and in a weird way, it makes me feel like maybe a lot of this shit is doable. We just haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of times it's oh great, this again, oh blah blah blah. And I think for us it's a little bit different because we're willing to forgive a lot of things. Where we talked about even Independence Day. We saw Independence Day, it's everything in that movie made fucking sense.
Yeah. I don't understand why people hated that movie.
Yeah. It did feel weird because it wasn't Independence Day, but it wasn't Independence Day. It was part 2. It was a different movie. It was 20 years later.
I think people just wanted Will Smith to come back.
Yeah. So other than stuff like that, that's whatever. But I don't know. It just it was a happy surprise. It was really cool to see, And I didn't expect to get excited from something like that, but I did. It's cool, and it makes me feel like, hey, maybe this next Indiana Jones won't be complete shit.
This is the fucking news.
So in the new Aladdin, there is a new character that was created. It's played by a white guy. His name is Billy Magnuson, and he's in the movie for, I think, like 3 minutes. He plays like a dim-witted like prince who comes to court Jasmine, right? And he's like fastly shuffled off, right? And if you saw the movie, you would be like, that was kind of funny. Now, would you expect that character to get its own spin-off? Have its own movie based off of it? If you said the answer is no, well, you're fucking dumb. Because it turns out that Disney wants to produce a spin-off of just this one character when their leading man from Aladdin still can't get, we talked about this last week. This is something that is carrying over. But Mina Massoud, he hasn't been able to get an audition, right? And yet Disney is like, hey, you know what? Remember that white guy that was in this? And this cast of like nothing but like people of color? Yeah, how about we make a movie just for him?
Hey, you know how we're like super bad at timing things?
Uh-huh.
Let's beat our record.
See, and this is one of those things where it's like, this is a good criticism of like Disney. I feel like the whole they're a monopoly. They need to be broken up. Well, they're not, because they don't own all film business. So like that's stupid unto itself. But it's like, no, this is actual genuine criticism. It's like, do they not see the optics? Like, what were people nonstop talking about the other week? Oh, this one character that this person of color, he couldn't get an audition after, making all this money for Disney, right? And now they're like, yeah, you're right. Like, how do we beat our record at, like, being the worst?
Is he, like, a good part of the movie?
No, like I said, he's in it for, like, 3 minutes. He's just there to be like a dumb like prince that comes to like, oh, Jasmine, I want to have your hand in marriage. And
Does
he's
he
kind
have
of
some?
Nope.
There's no like greater tie. Like
he's in it for a second, and that's it. There's no other joke that like comes later, or you see him later, or anything like that. Like, it would be funnier if he had a couple beats, right, in the movie. Like, if it was like an ongoing joke, like he does something dumb, like in like Spaceballs. Remember how Prince Valium, like he's there to be like a dumb prince, but like he's also like, his name's Valium, so he's like sleepy. But there's no joke to it. Like, he's literally like.
But it's not even like he is the great grandfather of who will soon be like the Beast somehow.
No,
like they're not trying to tie it in that way.
Nope. Because the way that they did it for the movie, Agrabah is in like a fictional land, so all the lands around there are all fictional, because they show a map of it, and like obviously like he's white, so he's from some land where there's a bunch of white people, and then there's another prince, and it's like, oh, they're these people or whatever,
like from the land of Germany.
Yeah, something like that, whatever. But like, it's not even like, I could even understand if it was like Jafar, right? Like they took that and they like spun off from there, right? Or like the genie, because the way that they do the genie in this one, he ends up marrying her like handmaiden or whatever, and they're sailing the ocean, right, with their kids. And even if they spun off from there, right, so you got to see Will Smith and what's her name, Nassim Pedrad, like their adventures, right? Like that would actually make sense, right?
Yeah. So the way that you're painting this picture for me is, they looked at this cast and they're like, we made so much money from this movie. And we know that people like the story. It's obviously carried really well, or, it's done really well. Like, let's try to further this. We don't have to make a part 2, but maybe we could like do a continuation story, or maybe have someone have their spin-off. Who can we pick? The whole cast, who
Or even
is
like
the rightest that we could?
or even like maybe a prequel too to show how like right like any like literally anything else. What did they decide to do? They're like, how do we get the most backlash?
I would even be okay if they're like, we're gonna make a spin-off of this other country, area, region, and maybe he makes like a couple of appearances in it, but it
Yeah.
has nothing to do with the main story. It's literally expanding the
Yeah.
Aladdin universe. I get that, right? Because it's interesting. Obviously, Mandalorian, so that makes sense. But the fact that they looked at this cast and they're like, who can we give their own story to?
It reminds me of that skit where it's at the Oscars and they're nominating all like the white people in the films. Like basically they're like, oh, like it's a scene where it's like these two people of color are like in this dramatic scene and this one white guy comes in and he's like, here's your letter, and he leaves and he's like, that white guy was nominated. And it's like, what? Like we're like I don't it's like, ooh, Disney, this is where I can't like sit here and defend you. I have to agree, like
It's dumb.
this
It's
is
literally
stupid.
the dumbest thing. Like I said, it doesn't make any fucking sense.
Oh.
If you wanted to, like I said, if you wanted to do something in the realm of Aladdin, you could. But then going out of your way saying, oh, we're going to make it about this one prince, the guy who was in this movie for less than 5 minutes, who made no impression, who wasn't like the Olaf of Aladdin.
No, I completely forgot about him too until like this story came out.
Yeah. The fact that they looked at all that and said, we'll give you your own show, after they had this whole weird like, oh, what's going on in Hollywood, where this guy who was in the same fucking movie, he was like the co-lead in it, can't seem to find work, but the movie did really well, and critics liked it, and fans liked it, and it grossed a lot of money. Like, oh, it's weird that he's not getting any roles. Like, oh, it's crazy. And then Disney's like, damn, that is crazy. So anyways, we got this new show. You know what I mean? Like, it just sounds fucking made up almost. Like it honestly sounds like I'll look this up and be like, Dom, you're reading like an Onion article.
No, I'm not. I really wish a lot of the things I brought up were either like an Onion article or an SNL skit or South Park, but it's like I hate that the real world like can just like one up all of them by being like ridiculous, because it's like that thing when you went online and you read Donald Trump is president. It's like, well, we live in bizarro world.
It sounds so fucking stupid. I don't know. Disney really fucked up on this one.
All right, so the Golden Globe nomination list just came out, and as we know, and as I've told many people before, this is just an indicator for the Academy Awards. These are not like for sure. Like the Hollywood Foreign Press has been known to nominate things that aren't necessarily nominated at the Academy Awards. Also, they also will give awards to things that are not what the Academy gives awards over to, because I don't really like the Hollywood Foreign Press. But let's get into it. Best Motion Picture for Drama was Irishman, Marriage Story, 1917, Joker, and The Two Popes. Best Actress in a Motion Picture Drama, Cynthia Erivo for Harriet, Scarlett Johansson, Marriage Story, Saoirse Ronan, Little Women, Charlize Theron, Bombshell, Renee Zellweger for Judy. Best Actor in a Motion Picture Drama, Christian Bale, Antonio Banderas, Adam Driver, Joaquin Phoenix, and Jonathan Pryce. Best Motion Picture Musical or Comedy, Dolomite Is My Name, Jojo Rabbit, Knives Out, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Rocketman. Best Motion Picture Animated is Frozen 2, How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World, The Lion King, Missing Link, and Toy Story 4. Best Motion Picture Foreign Language is The Farewell, Les Miserables, Pain and Glory, Parasite, Portrait of a Lady on Fire. Best Director, Bong Joon-ho for Parasite, Sam Mendes, 1917, Todd Phillips, Joker, Martin Scorsese, The Irishman, Quentin Tarantino, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Best Television Series Drama. A lot of these are just kind of... There's Big Little Lies, The Crown, Killing Eve, The Morning Show, and Succession. I don't even know how Morning Show got on there. Like, I've heard nothing about that.
Yeah.
And, oh, it's on there. And both of the starring actresses, Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon, both got nominated for it. I was like, how? That doesn't make any sense.
Because Apple pays them off.
I bet. So, I mean, it's pretty much what you expect. Like I said, for the Golden Globes, they suck every year.
I mean, it sounds about right.
Which is funny, too, because it's like they're the Hollywood foreign press. You would expect better things from them.
Especially because apparently there's a ton of shows like on Netflix and stuff that are more foreign that way outdo other shows. But I've never watched them. I never heard of them. And if there's some show from Mexico that I guess is really big, if that got nominated for something, I'd be like, oh, that makes sense because it's like the top 5 Netflix show of all time.
That's why I think, like we said, I think we should go with a better award show, which also just came out as the Critics' Choice Awards. And I've looked at the list already, and I'm like, see, this is how you should nominate things. This is how you should divide up real categories. And I think this is what, like, the Academy Award should adopt. So their list for Best Picture this year is 1917, Ford vs. Ferrari, The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, Marriage Story, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Parasite, and Uncut Gems. Yeah, sure, there's a lot, but at least it recognizes a wide variety of films. And then, like, their Best Actor, it's pretty much all the same. It's all white people except, like, Antonio Banderas and Eddie Murphy. Best Actress, Awkwafina for The Farewell, Lupita Nyong'o for Us, Scarlett Johansson in Marriage Story, Scarlett Johansson in Endgame, Scarlett Johansson in Jojo Rabbit. No, I'm just joking. That'd be fucked up. For Best Supporting Actor, Willem Dafoe for The Lighthouse, Tom Hanks for A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. I saw that one. He actually does a really good job as Mr. Rogers. Supporting Actress, Scarlett Johansson for Jojo Rabbit. But Jennifer Lopez for Hustlers, Florence Pugh in Little Women. Let's see. But see, here's a category I think that they should introduce at the Academy Awards. Best Young Actor/Actress. Because it gives a chance for these younger people to win like an award when they should be recognized. Like when Haley Steinfeld was nominated. She should have won, right? But like Julia Butters from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, she stood out in that movie with Leonardo DiCaprio in the same scene. Roman Griffith Davis from Jojo Rabbit. So is Thomasin McKenzie from Jojo Rabbit. I'm pretty sure that's Yorkie. He's hilarious. And then another category they should have is Best Acting Ensemble. So that's the Bombshell, The Irishman, Knives Out, Little Women, Marriage Story, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Parasite. Best Director, Noah Baumbach for Marriage Story, Greta Gerwig, Little Women, Bong Joon-ho, Parasite, Sam Mendes, 1917, Josh Safdie and Benny Safdie, Uncut Gems, Martin Scorsese and Quentin Tarantino. And then they do Best Action Movie, 1917, Avengers Endgame, Ford vs. Ferrari, John Wick Chapter 3, and Spider-Man Far From Home. See, it's like, I wish they would, I really wish they would do that, because like to see someone be awarded like, oh, the Academy Award for the Best Action Movie. Okay, Best Comedy, Booksmart, Dolomite Is My Name, The Farewell, Jojo Rabbit, Knives Out. Best Sci-Fi or Horror Movie, Ad Astra, Endgame, Midsummer, Us, and then they also do for best drama series: The Crown, David Makes Man, Game of Thrones, The Good Fight, Pose, Succession, This Is Us, Watchmen. Comedy series though is pretty much again it's like, have you heard of these? Barry, Fleabag, The Marvelous Miss Maisel, Mom, One Day at a Time, Pen 15, and then Schitt's Creek. But the limited series does sound pretty good. Catch 22, Chernobyl, Foster Dawn, Loudest Voice, Unbelievable, When They See Us, and Years and Years. And then they do Best Animated Series, which on here I kind of questioned a little bit. Big Mouth, BoJack Horseman, The Dark Crystal, and then She-Ra, The Princess of Power, The Simpsons, and Undone. Does The Dark Crystal count? I mean, they are puppets, though, so you have to animate them.
Yeah, I wouldn't know because they intercut it with like partial live action, like people, right? Like some of the scenes, they have like the people dressed up as like the.
I think that's in the movie.
No, it's in the show.
In the show, too?
Yeah, you didn't watch it?
I watched the show.
So it goes both ways, but it's a camera shooting.
I don't know.
Live.
That's what I was thinking. But then I was like, I don't know. I guess I'll give it to them. They are like operating them.
Yeah, so you're right. The first one, it just sounds about right. Sounds about white.
Sounds about
And
stupid.
then
That's usually what I say about the Hollywood Forever.
yeah.
I think
when you have that, when you have legit inclusion of like, hey, these are films that people actually like and enjoy, and like this is why. Because we talked about it before, we'll talk about it again. I don't want to get too much into it, but the one thing with the Oscars and kind of what they go for, it's a very, oh, this is a prestigious thing. Oh, you have to be able to make a artful filmmaking experience in order for us to nominate something. But they take it in such a pretentious way that almost all the time it's like, well, what is the most independent / limited release / like very particular movie that we can nominate? And it may have a good performance in there, so it has to be good, but then you decide to not look further and be like, okay, but what about this movie? What about this movie? Are you saying that this wasn't good acting in this movie? Oh, just because this movie made $100 million, all of a sudden the acting's not great in it? That's where this like argument we always talk about.
Yeah, and then to go back to, I guess, I do like the idea of doing like best ensemble, though. Because it is different from production, because production takes into account everything. So that's what Best Picture is the whole thing. And when you're just singling out the actor, actress, supporting for both, it kind of feels like you're excluding like everyone else. Because what if Knives Out works because of all of the characters in the film? Like, you can't boil it down to just one. There's so many different characters.
Yeah, like the reason why I like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Exactly. It's more about like the individual components coming together, and I think that would work as a new category.
Yeah, but I kind of wish that they would just get rid of Best Picture and have that subcategories. Have like a Best Dramatic Picture, Best Comedic Picture, because of that reason. Because you say this stuff, right? Where it's about the whole production. Are you trying to say that Bohemian Rhapsody, the entire production, was so amazing, so solid, right? They did this and that and blah, blah, blah. But then half of the movie is just them standing in front of non-plugged in music and, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they're just lip singing.
Yeah, but then you have something like Aroma that was very hands-on. Literally, he's like, I'll do it.
Yeah. He's like, I can't get anyone else to do it. I'll do it.
You didn't ask anyone to do it. No, but like, it's very hands-on, very guerrilla style. Like, you know, they're in these, especially like those big scenes where like they're going through the the town and like where he like points the gun, like comes into his story, points the gun.
Oh,
And like the way that those cameras are moving and all this stuff. God, it's like that. See, like that actually makes sense. That makes sense that it's like, yeah, that deserved to be Best Picture because like having those camera movements like tracking from here to here and following her here. It's like, yeah, that actually takes a lot. That for me, it's like a slap in the face that you have those two movies nominated.
Yes, you're right.
But then you say Avengers Infinity War didn't deserve it. This thing that literally everybody got together and was like, we're going to make this fucking movie. This movie is huge and we're going to shoot 2 movies at once. And we're going to do it. And then they pulled it off. But they're like, yeah, but it's not really Best Picture. It's like, But that's what you're saying. Like you're saying that this is what Best Picture is, so this can't be a Best Picture.
I just wish I was there when they were choosing. Like, I mean, even now, I wish I was there when they were choosing what to vote on because I think they go through a preliminary round and then they kind of narrow it down from there. But it's just like, I just want to change it some. I just want to show I just want to be able to show them. The thing you're doing, like you're doing it wrong. Like you're doing it so wrong. Yeah.
Do you see?
The only time I can say they ever did it right was Moonlight, and that was how many years ago already now?
Yeah. We're obviously gonna get into it.
I know.
Because it's the season's coming up, but that's just that's something that's like when you look at some of this stuff, right? You look at these nominations, it's like, wait, how the fuck isn't this nominated? Or this person, like, how was this person nominated over this person? Yeah. Oh, because, well, this one's a real movie. This is a real TV show. It isn't just like some action, adventure, sci-fi, horror movie.
Or it's like, oh, it's this person's time to get nominated.
Well, yeah. We'll put a pin in it right now, but
we'll be
this
back.
definitely is, yeah, this is just, yeah.
'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house, not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. Young Anna was nestled, all snug in her bed, not knowing tomorrow she'd meet the undead. How would she survive what this season would bring? Well, that's simple. She'd stab, she'd slash, and she'd sing.
Justin Bieber's a zombie.
Anna and the Apocalypse is a 2017 Christmas musical horror comedy film. Anna's schooling is Cummington, and all she can think about is leaving her small Scottish town and traveling the world. But when a zombie outbreak hits the town, her mindset changes to survival. Anna, played by Ella Hunt, is nearly completed with her secondary school. Normally, that means either joining the workforce or going to college. Anna wants to get out and travel the world. That is, of course, against the wishes of her father and her best friend John. On the night of the school's big Christmas show, Anna and John work at the bowling alley instead of attending. But what everyone doesn't seem to realize is that an outbreak has hit the world, causing people to turn into zombie-like beings. The next morning, Anna gets up with a new outlook on life, ready to take the world by storm. And running into John, they find one of the zombies, and are quick to realize that something's wrong. Scared, they decide to go back to the bowling alley. Once there, they run into their classmates, Chris and Steph. All four gather around the computer screen and find out that the outbreak isn't just in the town, it's worldwide. Back at the school, a small group from the night before are trapped in the cafeteria. Anna's dad, Chris's girlfriend and grandma, and Steph's car are all at the school, giving Anna's group a reason to go back and find out if anyone's alive. In the morning, they find the army has all been turned into zombies, making them realize that no evacuation is coming. As they make their way out towards the school, they run into Anna's ex-boyfriend, Nick, whose posse is very keen on killing every zombie in sight. While Anna's group starts to make their way closer to the school, everyone in the school has decided they want to leave, with only the vice principal wanting to stay. Anna's group has made their way to a tree emporium, but Anna is afraid that it's too dark and they won't be able to make it through. Nick assures Anna and the group that they're better inside than out, but when they try to make their way through, zombies start to come out on all sides. Anna tries to find her group and make it out alive. As for Nick's friends, they soon get turned into zombies, leaving Nick alone and rushing Anna, but she doesn't want to leave John behind. Once she finds John, they get on the other side of the door. Thinking that they're safe, John makes a joke and, as doing so, gets his hand bit. Shocked, Anna then tries to get him to go with her, but he grabs her and runs through the horde. Keeping her safe, he pushes her as he gives himself to the zombies. Devastated, the group moves on, but once in school, they realize only the vice principal is there. They ask him where the group is. He shows them to the cafeteria, but as soon as they get there, they realize that everyone has been turned into a zombie. When they try to leave, they find the door locked as they realize that he has lost his mind. They fight their way out. Once free, Anna looks for her dad as Chris and Steph look for Chris's grandma and girlfriend. They are soon found, but not all well. Chris's grandma has passed, but there isn't much time to grieve, as they have to make their way out of the school. But it doesn't work out for them, as both Chris and his girlfriend are bitten, and Steph makes her way to her car. As for Anna, she finds her dad tied up on stage with the vice principal. She fights her way through the zombies and gets to the stage, releasing her dad. Once released, her dad starts to attack the vice principal, but gets bitten on the leg during the fight as the vice principal falls to his death. Having to say goodbye, Anna and Nick make their way outside. Looking in all directions, they realize this might be the end, but Steph pulls up in her car as the three of them drive off into the unknown.
Anna and the Apocalypse. Just tell me what you thought about it, Don.
All right, well, I think this is our first musical, right, we've ever reviewed. It's not our first zombie. It's definitely not our first comedy. But being our first musical, I think it's pretty okay. I think it's a great, like, unique idea for them to have done this, where, like, yeah, like, who puts a musical and zombies together, but also, like, hey, let's set it at Christmas time, guys. Like, that's, like, a unique idea. I think overall for the story, it was pretty okay. The acting was pretty good. I liked the music until I think there was a certain part where I was like, oh, this kind of feels a little draggy. Like, it kind of dragged a little bit, and then it, like, kind of picked up again, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess. No song really, like, stood out where it was like, oh yeah, I can listen to that, like, all the time. But I mean, it's still good. It's one of those movies where I feel like you or me would put on for, like, our nephews, and they'd probably be like, this is kind of cool. But I think they'd kind of hate, like the musical parts. I mean, it wasn't terrible, but it was a movie.
So I heard about this about a year ago. I think it was around this-ish time a year ago.
Yeah.
But I didn't really hear much about it except for it was like a comedy, musical, horror film, whatever, right? Kind of forgot about it. Saw that it was on Hulu, and I was like, oh shit, that's that movie. So we watch it. And yeah, I say it's good. It's not great, but I will say that they did go for the musical part for the first, like, quarter of it, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe a third of it.
I think that's what I'm trying to say, I guess.
And it almost felt like you were watching High School Musical in a sense,
Yeah.
where it was like, because I almost forgot it was a musical, and then I was like, oh shit, yeah, huh, okay, and it kept going on and picked up, whatever. But I would say, like, when the zombie stuff really hits, I think that's when the tone changes because everyone dies.
Yeah.
And honestly, I didn't expect that.
No, yeah.
I thought it was going to be a little bit more happy ending, maybe one person dies
Yeah.
type of ordeal.
I thought it was a little bit more cookie cutter. I thought she was going to end up with her friend, but she I'm glad that she was like, no, you're my friend.
Yeah. Well, I'll get into that stuff later, but as opposed to the songs, I will say that, yeah, they're fairly generic. The Christmas one, where she's basically talking about fucking Santa, that was really good, actually.
Oh, yeah. That actually, you know what? You're right.
Yeah.
That's the one that stood out.
That sounded like a legit
Yeah.
Christmas song.
I'd listen to that one again.
So, good job on that. But I will give props where props due. When you think about a musical, comedy, horror thing, it could go one way or the other. I thought it was going to be, way more cookie cutter, where all the songs are going to be super funny.
Yeah.
Kind of like Not Another Teen Movie.
Yeah.
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 Where it's just very comedic and like, oh, ha, ha. But it wasn't. It was straight up a musical. Like, it literally led us to believe that it was a musical. Then the zombie shit came.
Yeah.
And I honestly like that a little bit more. I think it works a lot better because it's not trying to be this knee slapping, oh, here's a joke every single second, blah blah blah, comedy that also relies on gore, blah blah blah. It wasn't that. It was like this weird creation that fit in every single category, but also at different.
Yeah.
Because there was some quote unquote gory parts.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad. And the musical parts were actual, like a musical. Like they wrote the songs for the scene, not like, oh, how can we make a joke out of this? And then it got pretty bleak towards the end.
Yeah.
Like, it honestly doesn't even really end happy. It just kind of ends like...
And I thought when they got to that part where it was just them two, I was like, oh shit, are they going to end it like that? Like, they're just like left there?
Yeah. Basically, the ending is, oh, I know that we fought so hard to see you, Dad, but now you're dead. So
Yeah.
later. And it's like, she lost everybody. And now she's essentially stuck with this dickhead who she loved but then hated because he's such a dickhead.
Yeah.
And then this girl who's not necessarily a friend, but like acquaintance. I don't know.
Yeah.
It didn't really end happy like you thought. And honestly, I give credit for that because it didn't go the way you thought it was going to go. And anyway.
Yeah.
And also to give even more credit, some of the stuff they did it like on the spot.
Really?
Yeah. So this was made, I think around like 2016, I think. You know how long, it takes. But they did it in 5 weeks.
Okay.
In this like small area. And she was saying that, I think it was the girl Steph. She was the one who was also like part like helping choreograph stuff. She was saying that scene where the zombie stuff hits that next morning.
Oh yeah, like basically like the Dawn of the Dead kind of like opening.
Yeah, she basically said that they did it like on the spot. Like they ran through it and was like, "Hey, try this." Tried it, blah blah blah. Like, okay, no. Now let's try this and blah blah blah. And they practiced and then they shot it. And that was a lot. That was a lot of the stuff they did, which is amazing to think about because I'm not saying that this was like fantastic, but like I said, once again, this felt like a musical.
Yeah. The
dance parts, the choreograph, the way that the characters interact with each other while doing the musical parts. It seemed like they spent half a year writing the songs, doing the choreograph, okay, well, this is what we're going to do, blah, 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 whatever. Then you find out, it's like, no, it was kind of just like on the cuff.
Well, that's good on them. I like that.
Yeah.
They were able to do it off the cuff like that. And also think that mixed with the fact that it is very independent,
these type of movies, you just have a certain feel to them. It works really well because you're not getting this huge high school musical extravaganza where you're having a crane pass over this huge field of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't that, but it still worked. Like, it still felt like, okay, cool.
And there's parts where I could tell that they knew their limitations. Like, there is a part where they hear a loud explosion, and they could have easily have panned or cut to a different scene, showing like the smoke and all that stuff, and tried to do like effects and try to do this, but they didn't cut from that. They just like show on them, and they're like looking off, and they're like, they don't show it.
The only establishing shot was after, and it was from the sky, and you just saw like the fires and stuff like that, which is like cool because it's quick. It's like 4 seconds. And
boom, that's all you need. Just establish really quick, and then that's it. Cut away from that.
But where the faults lie are kind of like the characters.
Yeah.
I mean, like Anne makes sense in a way because it's like you could just, her character arc is she wants to get out of here, doesn't want to go to school, wants to travel, right?
Yeah.
I get it. Her best friend's in love with her, doesn't want her to leave. I get it. Same thing with her dad, doesn't want her to leave, thinks she's throwing away. I get it. Some of the stuff, it's like, sure, but it's just like, what's the name? John? Like that guy, her best friend, it was one of those things where I'm glad they killed him off because he had like no real like redeeming values in him. Like, he honestly was a pussy almost till he died, which didn't make any sense.
And what's funny too is like, why didn't they kill him off earlier?
Yeah.
Like, that would have been a better motivate too, right? Like, damn, my friend just died in front of me. Like, he was a zombie. Or even if she had to kill him, right? Because then when it gets to the part with her dad, it's like, damn, I got to go through this again.
Yeah.
Like, fuck.
Because,
but he's like, no, you just go. I don't want you to have to kill me. Like, you leave.
Yeah, because watching his character arc, it just felt like all he wanted was to be with her.
Yeah.
And he can't do shit and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, that's fine for him. But the way that it made it seem was like, you thought at the end it's going to be like, oh, then they're together, which I didn't want to see. And I'm really happy they didn't go that route. Like, she did the whole thing. She's like, no, you're my best friend. He's like, rats.
Yeah. I think Steph should have been more important. Because, like, they go out of their way to say, like, to show, like, her girlfriend doesn't want to hang around with her or go to the Christmas show or whatever, right? And then her parents went to Mexico without her. Like, so she's all alone and stuff. Like, they make it seem like she's going through something serious. And they kind of just are like, oh, but she's kind of awkward and a hipster-ish character. And
yeah,
like,
I will say that I'm happy that she didn't die.
Oh, yeah, me too.
But it was just some of those shallow character development. I felt like maybe they could have did more to paint a picture with certain people.
Was this their first film?
I think so.
Okay. As a first film, though, I still feel it's pretty good.
That's what I'm saying. Like, other than some of that stuff where I felt like you could have did way more with Anne because it was her movie. It should have focused a lot more on her. And if they really didn't want to push a narrative of like Chris's girlfriend and grandma's story arc, or Nick like just out of nowhere he's like, oh, let's kill my dad. Okay, he probably was a zombie. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they throw that shit out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden, like, then he's cool, and he's like, oh, well, I'm a good guy now. Or the same thing with Steph. It's like, why put her in this position if you're not going to go all the way through with it? Just have it all and focused, and you probably would have did a little bit better, and then these other people would have been more, I don't know. But that's just nitpicking because, like I said, for a movie that they shot in 5 weeks, that they choreographed some of this stuff literally on set.
That's what I can say I could give them for, because the choreography was pretty good for it.
Looking at it like that, this is a fun holiday movie to watch.
Yeah. If you're still feeling leftover, like, residual, ooh, I want something spooky from Halloween, This is definitely like ooh, yeah, you could put this on for a Christmas, like spooky Christmas.
Yeah, because it's not a hardcore horror film, but it has the elements in it, and it's entertaining enough where, it's holiday themed. They have songs. Some of them are Christmas oriented. I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. Honestly, it honestly was not that bad.
Yes.
So if you're into any of the stuff we talked about, or if it sparks your interest, check it out. And yeah, I give it 2 thumbs up.
All right. So for the segment this week, we are going to talk about something that we didn't talk about during the Golden Globes section. The big controversy that's coming out from that is that no women directors were nominated at the Golden Globes, but it's been a trend that we've seen in the past couple years where the Golden Globe choose to ignore women, but that's also something that the Oscars does as well. But I mean, it's something that we're constantly having to fight, and we've had to talk about multiple times during this whole year. We've talked about it with like just actresses in general not getting equal pay. Like it just is telling when the highest paid actress is Scarlett Johansson, and the only reason why she's up there is because she stars in like a Marvel film, and because and Disney tries to pay their actresses equally. That still is like telling that like no one else does. Then also that there's all these female directors out there that they do make great films, like Greta Gerwig. She did Little Women this year, and then like Ava DuVernay, she made When They See Us, and that was an amazing Netflix like limited series. And these people are still like not being recognized. I think it was out of all of the history of the Golden Globes, I think only 9 women have ever been nominated. I think it's like 40-something year, and it's just ridiculous. And then when you compare it to like the Academy Awards, where it's like one woman has won in the whole almost 100 years that the Academy Awards has been around, only one woman has won for Best Director. I don't understand why like we still have to like why do we still have to do this? Like where we like I mean there doesn't have to be like a rule that says that there has to be at least one woman, right? Or one person of color. But like I think someone came out from the Hollywood Foreign Press and was like, well, we look at everybody equally and we sit there and we decide who, like, what directors did the best this year. And it's like, but that's not a real, like, answer. Like, as I was telling you, they were also floating the idea of expanding, like, the amount of nominations. But it's like, does that even, like, help? Isn't that just more of, like, a pandering type of thing? To where they could be like, look at, we showed inclusion. It's like, yeah, you expanded it to 10, but only one woman's getting nominated still. And it's Greta Gerwig. Does it come to where we have to separate into like best female director or best male director? Or like we're just going to drive ourselves crazy because Martin Scorsese and Quentin Tarantino make a film in a year, they're going to automatically be nominated?
I guess to kind of tie this all together in a certain way, California just passed a law where it's illegal now to discriminate against like African American hairstyles. That's great, right? Or is it? Because it's 2019 and you have to make this a law that
you're right.
You can't discriminate against a person's hair. You know, the thing that just grows on them naturally?
Yeah.
And like they have to style it so you know, it looks like good. You know, that thing you can't discriminate against anymore. That's progression. Wait, what? Like,
yeah,
that's what it feels like with this. It feels like you're doing this shit saying we're making strides in equality and inclusion. And then you do this shit where you just nominate these people and it's like, okay, but what about all these other films and these other people and actors and actresses that you're totally missing? It's like, yeah, but I mean, Quentin Tarantino made a movie this year. and everyone who was in it has to be nominated.
Yeah, but they're all white.
I mean, I didn't make the rules. It's like, yeah, but his last movie, you didn't nominate everyone in there. Wink, 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 wink.
Or the one before that. Wink, 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 wink.
Yeah, it seems ridiculous because we believe that Hollywood's changing. We believe that more and more people are starting to have inclusion writers and this how the movie has to be made, and these other stories have to be told. Okay, and then they pull them off extremely well, but yet almost nothing gets nominated, and if it does, it's very little. Like, where does it? What does it say where in a year that something like When They See Us gets released, it not only does extremely well with audiences, but everyone's talking about like, oh my God, I didn't know about this story. Oh, it was so powerful. Oh my God. Oh, now look at all this. Oh, did you know this was real? Oh my God. And you know what I mean? Like, it made a fucking statement pretty hard.
And it wasn't nominated for the Golden Globe.
And that's crazy. Like, that legit is crazy. And I mean, I get it. Sometimes certain things people are like, yeah, I don't know, it was okay, whatever. Sure. But like, it feels weird because it's like I could look at something like Mindhunter, right? I love that show, Mindhunter.
Yeah.
I think what they do in there is awesome, especially knowing like some of the serial killers and be like, wow, they actually do that really well. Mm-hmm. To me, that feels like a really well acted show.
Yes.
Feels like everything comes together in every single episode. It's a great show. Doesn't get nominated. Nope. I get it, right? Like, it's like, okay, because there's other things out there that are better, like When They See Us. Oh, wait, what was that? It's not? Huh. Well, at least there's other things, right? Like these other big shows that are getting nominated, big movies, right? Because not only did so many people saw it, but critics loved it. Oh man, and just look at how great they did. Oh, they didn't get nominated either. Oh, that's weird. But people said in the beginning of the year that Us was worth a nomination, and it only got the one, but not the other. Huh? It's almost like there's some reason I can't pinpoint why these things aren't getting nominated. Huh? It's weird.
It's very weird.
And I know that it's easy to just say like, oh well, you're just banking on like racism. Maybe the movie's just good, and to that I say, Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, that's literally all you have to say. Anytime anyone brings up anything is because that movie is garbage.
It literally is garbage. Like, and I went from being like, oh, this movie's dumb, to being like, maybe I just need to give it a shot.
Nope.
And then be like, oh no, this is actual garbage.
Yeah.
And that shit got nominated, got praised, and it wasn't just that happened. It's that it happened with controversy. Mm-hmm. It happened with a allegedly child rapist leaving the fucking movie because he just had quote unquote things.
He had the vapors.
Yeah. He had to take care of quote unquote things on a private island, allegedly. But not only does that happen, right? Then all of a sudden, like, they get this nomination for fucking, what was it, like the sound mixing, editing, and like best
song,
actor,
right?
yeah.
Or was it song?
No, not song.
Best actor,
best actor,
best picture, and it's just like, why?
Yeah,
why?
That movie was fucking trash. And I'm saying this as a fan of Queen, and I like the idea of a Queen movie. That movie is literally unbearable.
It sounded better when it was Sacha Baron Cohen doing it, but he left for the right reasons.
Yeah,
I'm glad he
literally left because he was like, "Oh, this isn't the movie that should be made."
No,
and they're like,
they wanted to cut out everything that had to do with him being gay. Allegedly. He's bi for the movie.
No, but like that's my answer to everything. Is you can't give me, it's all about racism, blah blah blah. but that movie got nominated, and then something like Us that people really loved. That not only was this his like second thing that he did, but then he fucking nailed it with a solid fucking cast. And I mean, everybody did good in that movie.
Or even, I mean, anyone out there who's seen The Farewell, the director, she should have at least been nominated for that, because The Farewell, it has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Critics love this film, and it's such a good movie. And honestly, like, I don't understand why, like, she wouldn't have been nominated.
Well, it's because we did an Asian one already, Dom.
Oh man, I'm sorry. That's why.
Done. Now we need an Indian one now. We're gonna do an Indian one. That's our next inclusion, because we're diverse. You know, we're really.
That's right.
Yeah,
you're the
absolutely.
Hollywood foreign press,
Yeah.
but for some reason it's always nothing but like, hey, wait, but he's American and he's an American and they're all American except for that one guy, and they're all white. How come?
And I think that's kind of our old, like, the whole problem with this stuff. One thing that we've talked about before, and we'll probably talk about it again.
Yeah.
But my idea is you either make it super vague or super detailed. You either have a best female lead.
If they do best
female lead in a drama, you know what I mean? Like,
if they do best picture drama and then best picture comedy or musical, why don't they do best director comedy or musical, best director drama?
yeah.
Because then you can do because they could even pull a Martian. Remember, The Martian was nominated for comedy at the Golden Globes. It's like you could pull that where you decide to nominate someone in that, like, whatever. But you know what I mean? Like, I honestly, if they did that, that's 10 right there without having to expand the category.
Yeah.
And then you can be like, well, see, like, these were the drama ones, these are the comedy or musicals, and see, we put the women in there.
Yeah. Or make it super fucking vague and you just say best ensemble, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be an ensemble for just a movie. Maybe it could be a TV show, maybe a miniseries.
Yeah.
Who knows?
It's just the fact that we are at the end of a decade, right? In the new millennium, and for some reason we've only come like this, and no one can see me, but it's like barely even an inch apart between my thumb and my forefinger. When it's like there shouldn't be like anything, there should be no controversy, because that shouldn't be an idea anymore. Like, there shouldn't be an idea, well, hey, how come like people of a different gender or identifying as a different gender or whatever, whatever, just because they're different from what Hollywood wants as normal, how come they're not treated equally? Oh, how come this one white guy who has a small part in this one film that made billions of dollars gets to have a job, while this other guy who made you the billions of dollars doesn't, because he's not white?
Yeah. And I think that the shitty part about this whole thing is when we do start talking about this stuff, right? Like, the pushback is, well, you guys are the one bringing race into it. You're the one bringing sex into it. Oh, you're the one saying like this and that. And it's like, yeah, because if no one did, then things would have been left unsaid. They just wouldn't talk about it.
If no one pushed for progression, we would still be in the days of like Birth of a Nation, where black actors were not allowed to be filmed at the same time as white actors. So anyone you saw that was black was actually a white person in blackface, because that's how the law said.
But yeah, honestly, like, that's why. Because when no one talks about it and no one brings it up, then it gets left by the wayside, and then no one thinks about, well, how is that wrong? But when we start talking about it, where it's like, hey, isn't it weird that these women of color who are doing these movies, these TV shows that are just as good, if not better, are not being nominated? Why isn't Zendaya nominated?
Exactly. Euphoria was nowhere. I was so mad because that show was like, honestly, probably one of the best shows this year.
Yeah.
It blew me away. Like, everyone in that show was amazing. And the fact that like nothing was nominated, like, just upsets me. But then, it's
you
just-
know, when you think about it, Jennifer Aniston did pretty good.
Oh, that's right.
I heard.
And I heard there's going to be some tension because Brad Pitt's nominated, so we're going to see them in a room together. Ooh,
Oh yeah, that's
you want to see that, right?
Yeah, see, like that's what I'm talking about. Is like allegedly she did well in this TV show that no one's fucking talking about.
No, I've never heard anyone talk about it.
Nobody say anything about this TV show. I almost didn't even know it was a TV show until
I didn't even know
my
it was
brother,
out yet. Did you?
No, my brother brought it up like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I was like, "Oh yeah, huh?" And that I think that's the week I told you, like, wait, so Apple TV already got like released, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I guess." But like in that sense, right? That's great, sure.
Yeah.
But then this phenomena that is Euphoria hits, and not only does it hit, but like it hits big and hard, and then literally people that saw this actress as one thing were fucking floored at her performance because they're like, I can't believe that's Zendaya.
Yeah. It just goes to show that she's an amazing actress. But also, they could have also blown everything up too by Hunter Schafer. They could have nominated for Best Supporting Actress, and that would have blown everything, because it's like you're nominating this trans actress to be in this category, and you know all those alt-right and like incels would have been like, what? No, oh, that's not, oh. Like, you could have had a chance to like disrupt everything with that.
And it's not. It wouldn't even be like a pity vote or anything.
No,
because
she did
fucking did good.
She
in
did
it.
a
Like,
great job.
That's what I'm saying. Is like, this is why we talk about this, because I do get it. Like, I get it because sometimes we see things and like, I don't see that. I don't get that, right? The comedy thing for us just seems weird because it's like, oh, all these shows that got nominated last year are getting nominated again.
Yeah.
That no one that we know really watches it. Okay, like that's weird for us, sure. But in the same vein, it's like, okay, then how come that people like this, how come people like Zendaya aren't being nominated for literally doing exactly what you want, having a standout role, but yet she's not nominated because of reasons?
But we have to give Phoebe Waller-Bridge another award.
Oh, because she's a sassy lady.
She cusses. Did you hear that? I heard she cusses. I haven't seen it. I don't watch Fleabag, but I heard she's sassy.
Yeah.
So
and like I said, like, sure, Marvelous Miss Maisel has been doing well forever. Fine, I get it. Makes sense. But it feels weird that that's the only go-to. That those are the only go-to when there's all these other shows. Like, just speaking of, sure, let's just say that that Silicon Valley didn't get nominated, whatever, that's fine. But you're telling me what's his name who plays what's his name again?
Jared?
I forgot his name.
He's
But the guy who plays Jared, you're saying like he literally sometimes makes the episode.
Yeah. Yes,
which
he
is
does.
saying a lot because the episodes are made to make you laugh.
Yeah.
And he can steal the whole episode by saying like one fucking sentence.
It feels like we're opening a fridge, right? And we're seeing all these good foods to eat, like, oh, there's leftover pizza, oh, there's some hot wings. I can't believe I have leftover Chinese food. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna sit here and eat a tub of mayonnaise. That's what it sounds like we're doing.
It feels weird because it feels like you overlook some things for other things. And then when you're trying to fit a mold, sometimes the people that should fit your mold aren't even a part of it. Then it's like, so wait, then what dictates a good directorial debut? What directs, what are you saying? Like, how do you decide like this is the best female lead or whatever, right? Because sometimes it's like, okay, but why is she nominated but this other person isn't? And the only reason that we can see is like, well, I mean, she's a person of color, she isn't. So maybe there's something kind of right there.
Or
in
even
that
like
front
for
of our
director,
brain.
it's like the fact that it's she. That I feel like for some people it still scares them because they're like, oh, well, women don't know how to direct.
That's where you walk a fine line where it's like, sure, cool. Like the fact that Fleabag gets nominated for whatever, what's her name directs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Cool, writing all this stuff. But then it's like, then how come other people don't? I don't know. I don't want to get too much into it because we're gonna talk about this again.
I know.
But yeah, honestly, it just makes you think like, well, why is it that this is nominated and this isn't? And then you look at it and it's like, well, the only thing I could see is like, well, this is a guy and this is a girl, or this person's white, this person is of color, and you can say that that's not the reason, but then it's like, then give me a legit reason.
Yeah, and then your reasons are like, well, there wasn't enough people or there wasn't enough in the category to nominate them. It's like, but Martin Scorsese's been nominated before. Why does he need another one? Why Quentin Tarantino's been nominated for? Why does he need another one?
Especially like that, where I feel like something. I mean, I haven't watched The Irishman, but people are divided of that. People are like, I can't tell if it's good or if it's just long.
Well, it's long and boring. That means it's good.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, Quentin Tarantino a little bit more like.
Yeah, no, I know.
People said like, oh, it's just a great film, but just saying like just with The Irishman, people are already divided on like, oh, it's a good movie. I think.
I mean, Hateful Eight and like Django Unchained and Glorious Bastards. I think. I mean, we brought that up. They're better films.
Yeah.
And he definitely should have been nominated for those. But this one, it's like, I don't know, should he? It's one of those ones where it's like, if he gets it and he wins, it feels like one of those ones where it's like, oh, well, he's deserved it for all this time. He's been nominated multiple times, so we're finally giving it. Like Martin Scorsese had that already happen to him with The Departed. Like they gave him an Oscar because they were like, oh, this is probably the last time he's gonna get to get an Oscar because he didn't win for Goodfellas, and it's like
that's your fault.
Yeah, and then again, it's like now The Irishman's coming around. It's like, so what are they going to do? Are they going to give it to him, or are they going to be like, well, Quentin Tarantino has a one, and then he's going to get all, oh well, how come I didn't win? Oh, I made a better film this year than everyone else.
Yeah, I don't know. It's easy to point out these differences when they are race related, sex related, because sometimes it doesn't feel like there's any other reason why. Like I said, we'll get into it more because
as soon as the Academy Awards come out,
yeah,
I know we're gonna have a talk about that.
Yeah, but you're right. It feels like, one step forward, 10 steps back. That
constant
when we think that things are going better, and to an extent they are.
Yeah, they
decide like, well, we gave you this last year. So, we'll just sneak this by you and blah, blah, blah. And that's kind of upsetting because then you have things where it's like we said, Bohemian Rhapsody get nominated for things. It's like, but that just doesn't deserve to be nominated at all. There was other films way more deserving. Why that film? And then, it's like, well, I mean, we did give the Oscar to Moonlight, and we gave it to Shape of Water. So, we got this.
We have to pat ourselves on the back. Come on, we've given it to a bunch of Mexicans for Best Director for the past few years. Yeah. So we're good.
And I think that they kind of do stuff like this where they want us to kind of forget that Roma did win Best international film, foreign film.
Well, at the time it was foreign.
Yeah, foreign film. But then got snubbed for best film. But it's like, but maybe that should have won.
Yeah, why couldn't it have won both? Or why not give? Because I heard Cold War, I think it was just as deserving. Why not give it to Cold War for foreign film and give Roma the ultimate prize? Because honestly, because of this, like I told you, their voting system is broken.
Yeah.
So because I bet everyone. Second choice was Green Book, and everyone else was split on like either Bohemian Rhapsody or Roma or Black Panther, so that they were all split, and so then the second choice won.
And we'll get into it later.
Yeah.
But until then, guys, just we'll say thank you for listening.
Sorry for rambling on and on.
If you guys would like to follow us on any of your streaming apps, do so, and you'll get the episode right away.
Ooh.
And if you're wondering, like, well, what's a good one? We are on Spotify now.
Yeah.
So find us on Spotify or YouTube. These are going to go live on YouTube as soon as we upload it. We have links on our Instagram, our Twitter. That's INTB_podcast. And you can go straight to our RSS feed. We have links to, Google Podcasts, Apple, Spotify, all that stuff. So if you're wondering where you can listen to, you could go on there.
Or even if you're wanting to share it and people aren't 100% sure, you could be like, hey, just here, like link them to YouTube, show them the podcast.
Yeah, and we do have a link we have a link to YouTube on each podcast post, so just check that. Or you can email us directly at intbpodcast@gmail.com. And maybe we'll link you straight to our YouTube or Spotify or Stitcher or whatever you use. Or you can just let us know, like, what do you think about this award season? And do you feel like we're looking too much into it? Do you feel like things that got nominated should have got nominated? Or what are your feelings?
Yeah, or do you really love Anna and the Apocalypse and we were being a little too harsh on it? Or maybe we weren't being harsh enough. Whatever. You guys can talk to us. Let us know.
But I just want to say thank you so much for listening. Like I said, we're always trying to better ourselves. So feel free to DM us, tag us, post on our pages, whatever it is. Any questions, any ideas, if you want to hear content from us, if there's a movie we haven't got to, whatever it is, just let us know. Because like I said, we want to kind of get better. We've done this for 100 episodes and we still feel like we can do better. So feel free to let us know what we could do better.
Yeah, because if you message us and let us know, then we can get on to that 200th episode.
But until then, guys, as always, remember,
it's not that bad.
It's not that bad.